To start our council meeting, first one back, 20th of February. Welcome everybody. Big year ahead, lots of submissions. So we'll start with our karakia. Who's leading?
Whakataka tahau ki te uru, whakataka tahau ki te tonu. Ita kia māta tara ki tai. E hi ake ana te atakura, he tio, he huka, he hauhu, hei mauri ora. All the way, Black Caps, all the way.
Thank you. I don't have any apologies, but we have Councillor Nalo online. I've had no requests for public forum. Have we got any conflicts of interest declarations? Nope. I've had no notifications of extraordinary business. So we move to the confirmation of minutes from the 12th of December. I'll move it to put it on the table. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Hayward. Any issues for anybody in there? All those in favour? Aye. All those against? Carried. My report, obviously, we've all had a good break over Christmas, I'm sure. Summer has started now that we're back. We had a very successful summer concert series at Adventure Park with huge turnout. I joined the Pukerua Bay Community Garden to celebrate their volunteers and watch a crankbox story. That garden is full steam ahead. We had the Lions Eat, Drink and Be Crafty up at Battle Hill. Kylie and I joined Ngāti Toa for the celebrations of the new Te Reo Māori signs at the Ellson Wetland. I joined the Zonta Mana and Wellington Mana for their Women in Leadership Awards. Had the Multicultural Festival at Te Papa for the Lunar New Year, along with the Lunar New Year at Kaitahi, which was a great event, and our Blacktown friends came to that. I spoke to the Mana Zonta group about water and council infrastructure. And then I think that rips it all up because we had the Blacktown delegation over. So that was me. How about you, Taku? Nothing? Okay, we've got no committee recommendations, so we move to 11.1, approval to consult on the former building at Wairaka Park in Pukerua Bay. I'll move it, seconded by Councillor Waddle. Let's open for discussion. You want officer comment first? Yes, please.
Morena koutou. We have a proposal here. Essentially I'm requesting permission to carry out a round of public consultation. We have a building at Wairaka Park that has been owned by various groups over time, including kindergarten and then Plunket. The Plunket lease has expired, and now there's a question of what to do with the building, essentially. And there's quite a lot of interest in Pukerua Bay, as the paper sort of outlines, around a lack of public facilities. So there is some interest around what the future of that building looks like. So we want to talk to the community about it, I think.
Okay, Councillor Duncan.
Yeah, look, thanks for this paper. I got the distinct impression that officers were over-egging the custard here to make it a really good option to get rid of the building, rather than actually looking to the community to see what sweat equity they could put into the building. I went and had a look at it. I couldn't see where all these numbers that you've come up with. $65,000 for the roof. That's ridiculous. That really is crazy. And I'd like some explanation as to why those sort of costs were put forward. I just put a whole new roof on my house for $15,000. It's bigger than the roof of that thing, that's for sure. And it was all in colour steel. So I don't know where that's come from. And asbestos in the building for removal. I couldn't see anywhere there'd be asbestos in that building. So if you could explain where that's coming from as well. But how did you arrive at those numbers? Because honestly, if we go out to consult on those, people see those numbers, they're going to say, this is why council things cost so much to do, because of these ridiculously high prices that have been priced into it. So can you explain those numbers?
Through the chair, yes, I can explain. We got a report done, basically, on the building's condition and what it would cost to bring it up to a usable standard. That was a couple of years ago, and we've since gone back to the same provider and got some updated figures, essentially, which has given us the numbers we've got in the report today.
So you stand by those numbers?
I have to trust the professionals that we've engaged.
They're the best numbers we can get. You go to building professionals and you ask for those figures. We don't derive them ourselves because nobody believes our figures, so we go to professionals. So that's where we will have got them. Yeah.
No, I've got Councillor Hayward, then Councillor Leggett, then Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, officers. I'm actually going to take on the line from Councillor Duncan as well, in regards, just so I can confirm here, if I've understood the response from the CEN officers correctly, they are independent. An assessment is done independently. That is to say that it is an independent organisation or individual that does that assessment.
That is correct, yes.
And so, to the satisfaction of the officers, how do they test the market or test the reliability of those numbers as you understand it?
I'd have to go back and review the report.
Okay. I mean, I do want to just point out at this stage that no member of this council should be trying to direct the operational aspects of a council. That is a pretty clear jump from governance to operation. It may work well in the Porirua Club on a Friday night, but it doesn't work well when you're making decisions. So I just want to make sure that our assessments and our processes are robust in terms of checking the math, checking our working, showing the working as well. Now, the line question I do have is regards to the options that have been placed up at the table, notwithstanding the issues that Councillor Duncan has raised around a fait accompli that may be raised when they look at the price tag of one option versus the other. Has there been, and I've also noted in the report that there has been discussion in the past about future uses or future offerings. Has there been any additional commentary that you can provide around comments or offerings from the community that would like to take on the space at this stage of the process? That might get to Councillor Duncan's point as to whether or not the sweating equity might be in play.
Through the chair, last year, myself and one of our consultant, we attended a meeting of the Pukerua Bay Residents Association, and there was there is quite a lot of interest in the building, and some of the things that were raised in the meeting. If the building was too expensive to bring to a usable, habitable standard, that perhaps another building could be moved to the site. So there was talk about the St Mark's Hall in that particular meeting, but that's
Okay.
That's the
Last part, sorry. Point 29, Plunket has indicated they have a sum of money set aside for the removal of the building. I don't think I saw this in the report. Is there any disclosure as to not necessarily the quanta, but the proportion of the costs of removal that they would be prepared to put up?
under the terms of the lease, they are responsible for the cost of removal of the building.
So that statement's pretty much over to it's their cost to remove.
Yeah.
Whether they have the money set aside or not is not really for us to worry about.
Under the terms of the lease, yes, that's right. They are
Okay.
required to move the building.
No more part-time, thanks.
Councillor Leggett?
You answered the question about Plunket that I had. I just wondered whether it was in their lease. Look, and the other question I have is, with the previous conversation from Jeff in terms of what discussions you'd already had with the good people of Pukerua Bay, do you think that, given the consultation that we're going out with, that you'll get those things back this time around, so that we're going to have some potential options or further options to look at?
I think so. So we've done a round of pre-engagement already, and what sort of came out of that, I think I've discussed it in the report. But what came out of it is that they do want to see that Pukerua Bay community wants to see some sort of activated use of that site. I think the options we've put forward a range of potential options that I think. Yeah, I can't crystal ball gaze too much, but I do. There seems to be a willingness in the community.
So you're confident that we're going to get some good feedback from this? That's
I think
fine.
so. Yeah, very engaged community.
And
from what I can tell.
I just want to jump on the bandwagon in terms of the figures as well. No, it's not for us to go into the detail of the figures, but anyone with a bit of common sense and building, or has done any building at home or whatever, would look at those figures and be aghast. I know I was. You know, I just give you the example of $32,500 for a kitchen. Godfathers, I just do not believe it. And I just make one more comment. Maybe we should get a different contractor to look at how we get that information, because I think it makes a laughing stock of us as a council. That's my only comment. I'm for this. Great paper. It was good.
Councillor Johnson?
Papers going out to consultation, those costs will remedy themselves according to what the community wants to do and has to say. And as everyone's agreeing, though, I'm sure they'll have quite a bit to say about it. I guess that I didn't realise that Plunket would pay for the removal of the building, which makes a difference. It would be a shame to just have bare land there for the community. And will there be options through the consultation for the community to come back with ideas for maybe community space / cafe? And an example is, I know of a woman that applied to that space to see if she could run a cafe in it, and obviously it was declined at the moment. It's just because of the money that needs to be spent into it. Have you, in your pre-engagement, you've kind of the community sounds like they've considered taking over that space. However, it feels very unfinished for a community group to take over, and I just wondered through that discussion how they saw that happening, or if that would come out in future consultation. Because to take on that land as it currently is, with a building on it and a massive investment, seems rather a lot, unless it's going to become an Aotea Lagoon Rotary Club project from the 70s. So I think it's quite an exciting prospect for the community. And what's your thoughts about that?
Through the chair, so this consultation will get preferred options from the community.
Yeah.
And we will enact the option that is preferred. So you've got options 1A, 1B, which are to either remove the building and keep the space, or request proposals to lease the space, or we seek proposals from the community groups to purchase and lease the building. So once one of those options have been taken, if we go down the line of either leasing the site, the bare site, or leasing the building, there will be a further process around like a public tender type process where people will be invited to put forward a proposal which council will then consider.
That's to use the property.
Yes.
Will the cost of doing
Wendy's,
it... Oh,
would you like
sorry,
to reply
Wendy.
to that?
I just wanted to make a comment, really. I don't know that it's a response in particular to your question, but we've been talking about this building and this location for a very long time. There have been many ideas mooted, and none of them have crystallised into an actual proposal. This consultation is intended to crystallise those options so that we can get some go forward, because the worst possible scenario is the one we have right now where nothing is happening. Yeah. So we need to either demolish it, and frankly that site's tucked away, you know, there's a library there, but it's not a very open space, so there are some issues with the location. I understand that the community sees a building and thinks that it's a fantastic thing, but I have lived through quite a few buildings that people love but cannot fundraise enough or get enough going. So this consultation is intended to crystallise a concrete option that we can actually action and move forward with. And I think you're right, Councillor Johnson, the numbers in a way don't matter because we don't know what we want to put in there and who would pay for that option. So all we know is if it's going to cost that amount of money that we have had assessed, we don't have that money to do it ourselves. So, and it's if we did have that sort of money, it might not be our top priority for investment. So I think this is really to get to a point that the council can consider the community's views and get to an option. So some of the questions you're asking seem to preempt that process that we're in, where we're trying to get to, is there a real option that we can actually pursue as a council?
Well, I guess due to the question, the options being put in there, they have to have come from from some engagement. So, so that's why I was asking. But I guess knowing a little bit about that community, it would be bloody disappointed if they picked up a bare piece of land. But let the process roll through. Yeah.
Councillor Philo?
Thanks. Just a few questions to clarify things. So you mentioned Plunket owned the building. Do they still own the building?
Yes.
Yeah, and so they lease the land from council.
They did, yes, but the lease is now concluded.
And when there was that other organisation that was in there, did they lease the building from Plunket? Was that just...
No, the kindergarten leased the site on which the building was. They owned the physical structure, but they leased the land, and that's the same situation for Plunket.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the figures on page 44 about the demolition is 56,300. That would be the cost of the owner, which is Plunket, just to get that quite clear.
That's correct.
Cool. And the figures of the 256, that's just below it, 256K to do it up, that's just kind of giving an idea to whoever wants to own the land, if they're going to buy it or if they're going to do it up, that's to give an indication of how much it could potentially cost.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Well, it's the building, the land's not for sale.
I thought I saw somewhere an option where the land was for sale. Is it?
No, can't
okay.
sell it.
Cool. Okay, well, I mean, I think we do need to get some clarity on where we're going. Consultation sounds good. I think with the if it does get demolished and there's bare land, there's always these options around food trucks and those sort of things. It'd be interesting to see what the community has to say. Yeah.
Councillor Waddle?
Yeah, just following on, similar sort of question, I reckon, around, obviously within the lease there's responsibility on Plunket to pay for demolition or cost, cover the cost of demolition. So why is it council's or the future person's responsibility to repair the building? Why can't Plunket give it to us in a suitable condition?
Let me have a go at that one. So, as I understand it, and I can be corrected, but when a building such as this happens, they quite often revert to council. That's what happens because it's on our land. If they've got no further use for it and can't find anyone else to take over the ownership of it, it's a quite typical thing for these buildings to revert to the council. We say that the lease requires them to demolish. Quite often in these circumstances, and I'm not speaking for Plunket, they don't have the money to demolish either, and which is why the building reverts to council. So it's a wee bit of a bugbear of mine because I have seen quite a few of these in my life in local government. So we end up being the last person standing, and we end up taking on these liabilities. There are buildings that are not fit for full purpose any purpose right now. So that's the circumstance that we are finding ourselves in here. It's a little hazy, in what circumstances who would pay. But if the building reverts to us and we own it, and a community organisation picks it up, typically we pay for the refurbishment. Mike's about to correct me. So
Could I just clarify something? So this building has been surrendered to the council. So we actually own this building. Yep. But they still have a sum put aside for the removal of it. So they've provided for that, but the building is ours.
Do you understand that? Sorry. Yep. Okay. Councillor Weehappy.
Thank you. I'm quite happy with the consultation document and the options that we're putting out there. I was a little bit shocked too, like Councillor Duncan, on the quote that was given in regards to refurbishing it. I guess it's just another example of independent contractors rubbing their hands together when council asks them for a quote. But anyway, asbestos removal product. This building was erected in 1996. I believe there was no asbestos used for buildings around that time. Have we done has there been a test for that? This is for it to actually be demolished.
Mike, can you answer that?
Sorry. Was it tested for asbestos in the quote that they gave to demolish the building of 21,150 in 1996? Did they use those materials for erecting a building?
No.
Not necessarily for electing, but certainly with legging around pipes. So I can't actually specifically tell you what element of this building might have asbestos in it, but we can certainly find out.
Oh, I was just wondering.
No, it won't have been. It won't have been
That's
because
right.
it will have cost money to do it.
Yeah.
But actually, most building people can walk in and say that is asbestos or highly likely to be asbestos. So I'm not...
Sorry, it's just a big chunk of the estimated cost.
Yeah,
as
will
well.
be asbestos removal. It's very expensive to do.
I know that, but what I'm saying is that in a 1996 building, yes, you're talking about pipes and all that kind of thing, but are you, confident that that quote for asbestos is...
So it feels like with the numbers, I'm getting a sense that we need to be double check the numbers and make sure we do have that level of confidence.
Correct. Councillor Hayward, do you want a second shot there?
Yeah, and I apologise for taking a second.
That's all right.
helping. It's in regards to points 15 through 17, community spaces and places framework. I'm just trying to understand the source of that document. That's not a council document. That's, I assume, somebody else's.
Probably from our village plan document.
No, it's ours.
Ours.
We passed it in whatever
2020.
date, 2020.
I'm trying to find a copy of it on the website, on our council website, and I couldn't locate it. So, independent of this decision, could a copy of that just be furnished with me?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, related to that is there any? I can't recall if there was anything in our long-term plan rather, that related to any future development of community or spaces up in Pukerua Bay. Can someone just confirm if that is the case?
My recollection of these things in this document, the community spaces and places, we identified the Northern Growth area specifically as an area that would need a community facility. It followed, we hadn't budgeted, the council decision was to not budget for any of those things till, I think it was even
No, that's
post-water
correct.
reform at
Yeah.
that stage. And the idea was the only one we'd budget for would be in the east. So that was the decision of the council at the time.
Thank you for reminding me. Last question, hopefully. In the commentary earlier, it talks about crystallising the viewpoints of community in terms of options that they would like to bring forward. There's nothing in the subsequent report that comes back after the consultation where new options may be placed towards the council based on the feedback from the community. Is that correct? We've done that before. Is it still the case that we could do that here as well?
That's correct. How we would run a hearing, essentially. So those who put forward a view would be able to speak directly to council.
We can take any option at that point that we like.
Okay.
You know, we might want to test it further depending on what it is, but you know, new ideas can come in.
But yeah,
if
in
that's what
principle,
you're asking.
yes, that's right. To say that in principle, the council is still open to conversations if a strong enough proposal from community does come forward. Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. This community is a very strong community, so it'll be interesting to see what they feedback, and I'm sure they will. Oh, you want another shot, Councillor Leggett? Yep.
The comment that we've talked about, that I still believe that despite what you say, Wendy, that these figures in here do reflect Kylie's point of view that council can get taken for a ride, to put it bluntly, with these sorts of things. And can we put a qualification in there in terms of where these figures come from, and they may not necessarily, you know, be exact, because or whatever qualification you think is important, so that we're not, because I know there are a lot of people out there in the community that, you know, are talking about rate rises and affordability and those sort of things. So we need to be clear about where these figures came from and qualify it a little bit.
Well, the figures are already out there, so they're already up, and yeah. Councillor Duncan, last one.
More bite. Look, I said before that I put a new roof on my place for 15,000. I didn't do that. It was King Arthur roofers from, and so can I suggest you look at them?
Okay, I'm assuming they're Porirua based then. So that's good. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you for the consultation. There is nothing online. We have Izzy online who has a migraine. That's why she does not have her camera on. Thank you for joining us. No more consultation? All those in favour? All those against? Carried. Okay, I now move we go into public excluded. Moved by me, seconded by Councillor Duncan.